Developing news this afternoon, Idaho's Governor Brad Little says we're good to go. Phase 2 of the reopening of the state begins on schedule on Saturday. We have team coverage this afternoon. CBS 2's Scott Logan asked the governor about the logjam of unemployment claims at the Labor Department. We'll have that in a moment. But we start with Brian Morin with more on Phase 2.
I'm happy to report today that on Saturday we will enter Stage 2 of our 4-stage Idaho Rebounds plan to reopen our economy.
It's the news some have been waiting for, and others might still be apprehensive. Idaho will continue to loosen restrictions caused by the coronavirus, and that's happening on Saturday. But there's a catch.
I urge Idaho citizens and businesses to continue practicing preventive measures. Wear protective face coverings in public. Wash your hands and surfaces frequently and limit your exposure to others. We've been diligent in protecting our neighbors and ourselves. We need to continue to do that so that we can keep moving forward.
Phase 2 means many more businesses will reopen or they'll have restrictions loosened.
What does Stage 2 look like? Restaurants can open for dine-in as long as protocols are followed. Indoor gyms, recreational facilities, hair salons, and other close contact surfaces can open as long as protocols are followed.
Bars were originally set to open in Stage 4 a month from now, but today the governor moved that date up 2 weeks to May 30th.
Bars should begin making plans to open in Stage 3, and protocols for opening will be posted at rebound.idaho.gov on Monday.
While coronavirus restrictions are loosening up, the governor today still is cautious.
Employees should return to work in phases and continue to telework whenever possible. We should all minimize non-essential travel, gatherings, both public and private, at less than 10 people can occur, where appropriate physical distancing and precautionary measures are observed.
Brian Morin, CBS 2 News.
Beware, if you requested an absentee ballot here in Idaho, your name, your address, and your political affiliation is now out there. A political action committee simply paid a fee to the Secretary of State's office, got the info, and published it online. Can they do it? Yeah, they did. CBS 2's Haley Kramer reached out to the PAC to find out why they did it. And she also asked a legal expert about your rights.
Why did you post my stuff on your website?
Why is it such a big deal?
Idaho Freedom Action is the politicking arm of the Idaho Freedom Foundation. The IFA published the first, middle, and last name, address, and political affiliation of every person who has requested an absentee ballot for the upcoming election, with no explanation of why. It was on their website yesterday, then off, then back up again this morning. And now this message is in its place. So instead of one click away from over 300,000 people's information, you can send them an email. I reached out to the IFF on a few platforms and asked why. The information posted to our website is publicly available to anyone in the world via the Secretary of State's office. Hundreds, if not thousands, of politicians and campaign workers already have these lists. They are public record. Anyone who wants to change that should contact their state lawmakers. From their response, it's still unclear why the information was posted. But yesterday, 670 KBOI host Nate Shellman asked spokesperson Dustin Hurst that same question, and after several attempts, here's the answer he gave.
How many people are concerned with the integrity of the election? We've moved to an all mail-in election. People are concerned about their ballots being returned. Literally anyone in the entire state can quickly and easily go to our site and see if their ballot has been returned.
I talked to Stephen Roush, owner of Capital City Law Office and host of KBOI on the Law, to ask, what's the legality of that post?
In Idaho, it's the Idaho Secretary of State that's the one that maintains that information. That information is public record.
If you ask for that information from the Secretary of State, you can pay a small fee to get it. The state statute poses some basic rules to abide by.
Generally, that is that information is not supposed to be used for commercial purposes. But they do carve out that it can be used for political purposes.
Rausch says the main concern with that personal information being out there and easily accessed is it could open the door for harassment.
We're in such a polarized society right now. Just that information of what political party you affiliate with can cause maybe even your neighbor to change their views about who you are.
So I guess in this case, it's less about if it's legal and more about if it's right.
Exactly. There are some federal statutes that criminalize harassment and intimidation, voter intimidation. But in this situation, they probably don't apply because this is a primary election. I have had many people reach out to me now after we found out about it in the last couple of days, very concerned because it may not even have anything to do with their voting. It may have to do with they may have a domestic violence issue going on in their relationship, and now all of a sudden their information is available. Or they may have a bad business deal and they've been trying to not, so there's a lot of reasons that this information being out there can be detrimental.
He says the main focus should be on why it was posted. They post it on their website with no explanation. It's just a link. Are they required to say why they've posted this?
There's not really any guidance as to whether or not the person who gets that information from the Secretary of State's office, how they have to inform the public if they publish that information. There's just not really any guidance there. And I think that that is a short sight in the statute as well as on the Secretary of State's, I think, mandate of the maintaining that data.
Haley Kramer, CBS 2 News.
Now, we did reach out to the Secretary of State's office. Here's what they told us. They have an absentee ballot report order form. It's a standardized form utilized by political candidates and others. IFA paid for the copies. As for the legality, they weren't using it to promote anything of value. One other note, 9 or 10 different organizations have also been given the same list, but there was apparently an error. So the Secretary of State provided a corrected list. That's why the PAC took it down from its website and then reposted it.
At a distribution site for medical supplies in Pennsylvania, President Trump Thursday applauded the efforts to boost America's stockpile, claiming the last administration left the cupboards bare and seemed to question if some of the current demand is overkill.
It could be the testing's frankly overrated. Maybe it is overrated. But what we want is we want to get rid of this thing. That's what we want.
In case he needed reminders, though, that the nation is split on how best to reopen the country, a loud caravan of critics gathered outside.
And we're here to say, how dare you? We have members that we have lost to this virus. We have members that are sick, and we only believe that reopening the state will get more folks sick.
Back in Washington, one of the top government scientists, Dr. Richard Bright, now labeled a whistleblower, testified he was removed from his job for saying the country wasn't adequately reacting early on and disagreed with President Trump's opinion that hydroxychloroquine might be a treatment.
Americans deserve the truth. The truth must be based on science. We have the world's greatest scientists. Let us lead. Let us speak without fear of retribution.
Boise Parks will likely be seeing more visitors soon as Stage 2 begins. And CBS 2's Trevor Fay spoke with the Boise Parks director about how to stay safe while having fun outdoors.
Boise's parks are reopening, but that doesn't mean it's a free-for-all. There are still guidelines in place to keep people healthy while they spend time outside. Doug Holloway, Director of Parks and Recreation for the City of Boise, spoke about what you'll have access to.
One of the biggest requests we get are restrooms, particularly at our larger parks. So what we have done is, in this Stage 2, is we're opening all the restrooms in our Ribbon and Jewel parks.
Although some parks and rec facilities are reopening, others remain closed. Idaho Ice World, Fort Boise Community Center, and Dick Eardley Senior Center, along with others, won't be reopening in Stage 2. That being said, people have a lot of other locations to choose from.
All of those facilities are getting a lot of use right now, so we just ask that you even have a higher awareness of keeping that distancing and really practicing common courtesy and etiquette.
He's talking about areas like the Greenbelt, the aquatic area, and the Boise River Park. You'll have access to them and more under Phase 2 of reopening. Holloway just asks that visitors use common sense when returning to public places.
If a place is crowded at a particular trailhead you show up at, maybe go to a different trailhead, maybe try the Greenbelt, maybe go to a different park location and enjoy something at a different park that maybe you haven't visited before.
In total, 92 park locations, 25 miles of Greenbelt, and 200 miles of trails fall within Boise city limits. Holloway says Mayor McClain is looking at data from Central District Health and other sources to decide what to open next. In Boise, Trevor Fay, CBS 2 News.